I remember I sent bro FLPs. It's like old melodies, 2017 melodies, and then you got the new sauce on there, and people are like, "Oh man, this like old Future. This shit hard."
Focused, you know what I'm saying? Like lyrics first. When you're skilled at your craft, but yeah, I'm gonna appreciate that, regardless of what. You know, image is just image.
If I could just give out one general piece of advice for lo-fi: pose with frequency in mind, texture matters, and groove matters.
A gym for producers, bro. Don't fucking stop practicing your melody. They may fucking suck right now. It happens. We all sucked at one point, but just keep practicing.
Do not give up. Like, don't matter how nothing bad gets, bro. If you feel like this is what you want to do, bro, and you feel like this is what's going to take you to the level of you just being happy, not even just happy, bro, just like happy financially, bro, stick to this, bro. Don't let nobody tell you nothing different.
Check, 1, 2. What's up with y'all? You already know it's your boy 215 Got Beats, aka Streets, aka you already know this. Producer's new favorite podcast, Let Me Rap With You. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Shit, you already know. I know everybody don't celebrate the holidays, but you know, I know some people do. So, of course, you know, we gotta give y'all some, you know, bonus holiday episodes, but y'all already know how we doing with that. You feel me? But, of course, you know, while we're still having our bonus holiday shenanigans, of course, you know, this podcast is still sponsored by Demolier. You know, think you dripping. You ain't dripping until you come shop with us. You know, make sure you get my guy Smash 215 at Demolier Shop. That's DEMOLIR Shop. No underscore, no none of that on Instagram. You already know this. We done said this already. And of course, this podcast is sponsored by Major Loops. You know, looking for some placement-worthy samples, 808s, kicks, claps, open hats, hi-hats, toms, percussions, perks, boxes, you name it, Omnisphere bangs, midis, you name it. Shout out to my guy Rory Lux, MajorLoops.com. Great kits, great prices. You already know. And of course, you know this podcast is sponsored by No Rival Shop. You know, shout out to my guy The Mind. Make sure you know y'all get some gear at No Rival Shop. You know, got some The Wolf 2.0. You feel me? The art collection, the luxury collection. You know, you got the No Rival sword. You got gift boxes, mystery boxes, $11 tees. Man, I'm telling you, man, The Mind, we're gonna have to start coming up with like a list, and I'm gonna have to literally like have the whole list of like all the stuff that he has, because it's starting to become endless with his collections, even with some of the limited edition pieces. But you know, make sure y'all go on NoRivalShop.com and make sure y'all go get some gear. And of course, you know, we got the Let Me Rap With You merch. You know, we got the tees, the joggers, the rolling tray set with the lighter, rolling tray included, or you can get it separately. And of course, you know, the mask. Protect yourself during COVID. You feel me? Definitely gotta get my mask and stuff, and to, you know, really give an explanation of, you know, why y'all haven't really seen me wear the merch yet, is because we want to get the gear out to the people first, more so than the stock going to me and crew. So, you know, we want to make sure that our fans get the merch first. Operations will get it last. It's kind of how that thing is going. So, but you know, while we're getting this guest call ready, y'all already know how we doing it with the usual, you know, positive vibes. Hope everybody's cooking up. You feel me? You know, producers cooking up some beats, artists you recording some takes, reference tracks, whatever you doing. You know, photographers got some good pictures, videographers get some good videos. Make sure the shooters don't have the guns directly at the camera. You know, it's like, no. I can't do videography. You know, I just can't do it. Like, you know, I be around shooters all the time, but you know, that is different from a videographer. But you know, springtime now. You know, sun's about to come out, snow's about to melt away, and you know, for producers, you know, because this is producers' new favorite podcast. Shout out to my guy Th3 Tobin, because I definitely agree. It is collab and placement season. Can't you just smell all those collabs just coming to your email right now? Like, I can just smell like somebody just getting a Dropbox link of loops ready for me, or a Google Drive link just ready to just hit my email at any time. Even while we're sitting at the podcast, I can just get a notification like, oh, somebody just sent me some loops. It's placement season, y'all. get these collabs in. I think that's the one factor I'm going to talk about before we get this guest call in. Get these placements in. There's some hot loops out there. Hot kits. People giving out for free. I'm telling you guys, I'm not even going to bullshit y'all. I probably spent the whole year probably getting like free loops and stuff and kits and stuff from, you know, people that I just been following and all that. And I'm not even gonna lie, like, some of these loops is crazy. I can't wait to really start using some of these kits. And I'm just gonna tell y'all, it is placement season. Like, I can just smell these hot ass loops coming in my email. Like, I can just smell my laptop. Like, it might be a loop that's so hot about to land in this email that my laptop might be on fire. And I might not even be able to operate for y'all for about a month or so. Man, placement season, collab season. I love collaborations. And y'all know, like, I'm still practicing making melodies and stuff and all that and everything. So, you know, I still suck at melodies right now, but you know, me as a drum constructor, I love collabs. I just love them. Like, why do y'all think the very first topic of the podcast ever was paid collabs? Something I love most. You feel me? So, like, I'm just telling y'all, man. Shout out to my guy, Th3. Definitely shout out to my guy, Wavy Bands. Oh, snap, my guy just entered the room. We already pre-rolled, ready and all that, you feel me? So let's click this link. Let's get clicked in. And for sure. Alright, perfect. I don't know why my mic is all the way up like that. My audio is currently still connecting. Yours connected? Oh, okay, I think I can hear you now.
Okay, yeah, it was something about a setting, and I didn't realize
it happens every time. Like, I'm like 3 seasons in, and I guess it's just a Zoom thing, you know. But the other thing we know is that I'm gonna say this as it is. Let Me Rap With You podcast. Your boy 215 God Beats, aka Streets, aka you already know this. We got a very special guest in the building, and before we even say this, I kind of knew this interview was coming. Like, I'm going to just say this. I kind of seen this interview coming because from the very first episode of my podcast, when I did the curated playlist, shout out to my guy, Papi, shout out to Digital Dior. This guy winded up ending on 3 songs because 3 songs from his album was actually produced by Papi. So it ended up on the curated playlist. And I've been doing my research on bro ever since then. So we got special guests. Rap artists, and no rivals on in the building. Logan Write, what is up with you, bro?
what is happening.
Man, like I said, bro, I kind of seen this coming a little later than expected, but it's finally glad to have you on the podcast, bro. Finally glad. Hey, man, look, shout out our guys of mine. Shout out Jay, man. You know, definitely a lot has happened ever since he came about and sponsored the podcast. And, you know, this was definitely one of the interviews he was waiting for me to do. So, you know, we're not going to give the fans no wait. We're going to let you start it off like we give the rest of the guests. We're going to let you start from the upbringing and where you from.
Where I'm from. I guess the easiest part to start with, Lawrence. I grew up in Lawrence on the east side of Indy, downtown Indy.
Sure.
I think
kind of was a journey at a young age, huh?
I mean, I was young, so and I'm still young, so I still feel like still don't know what the fuck going on. So that's just kind of how it's heading for me right now. But I think in like fifth grade, I ended up moving down to Florida, which was like a completely different scene from where I lived at the time. Mm-hmm. And so from there, we ended up in Tampa, which that was all right. Pretty cool. We didn't stay down there too long because we missed the family. So we came back up here. I think from that point, I've been kind of in like Southport from that point, pretty much the rest of my life so far.
Dang, it's just hella traveling. I definitely understand it's a family. That's why I don't like being far from like, you know, where I'm at. I don't like being far from the set, from fam. I definitely feel you on that. So before you even like hopped in your first session, hopped on your first, you know, mic and did your first song, what were some of the musical influences you had coming up as a child?
That was a lot of people. I'd say really big. I didn't get into music until pretty late, but I've always listened to a lot of music. Music's been really important to me and my family. We've all played an instrument. We've all had certain music genres that we listen to and a bunch of shows and stuff we'd like to go see. But I think some of the biggest people that I listen to and some of the biggest people that have an influence on me are it's actually kind of split too, between some new school and some old school.
For sure.
I think Biggie is a really big influence on me. It's one of my favorite. I think Big L has a big impact too. I listen to a lot of Big L on repeat at least.
That's honestly, I'm not even going to lie. Not even just in the podcast, but actually, this is the first conversation where anybody I know actually brought up Big L. That's great. That's crazy. That, you know,
I couldn't bring him up.
Not too many people bring up the legend. That's lit.
I think he definitely has one of the better classic albums able to release in time. But next to them, I got some new people too that I think that are like I really like and that really influenced me. I'm a huge Denzel Curry fan. I listen to him a lot. I fuck with all of his shit, and I think that kind of the new sound that he's with right now is influencing me as well as some of the old stuff he's done before. I listen to a lot of Nas actually. I think Nas is a very important legend. One of my favorites.
Definitely one of my favorites. So since we actually gonna get into that, what's your favorite Nas project?
My favorite Nas project.
That's a tough one.
It is tough because there's a lot of good ones, but I'm always drawn back to the first couple that he made. And I think my favorite project is probably Illmatic, but it could also be Stillmatic. I don't know. And his third project that he had, there was a couple good songs on that I really fucked with. But to be honest, have you heard the new album? 10 Points? No, I'm sorry. 10 Points is one of the songs. It's the King's Disease.
I heard half of it. I need to finish it because I haven't really been like I've been listening to the underground so much. I really haven't been finding time to listen to the mainstream, but I will definitely like find a day to get back. But if I had to, I'm going to say Illmatic. New York State of Mind, it ain't hard to tell. That's kind of hard to beat for me, but and it's always been crazy because like me and my father were both Nas fans, but Stillmatic was my father's favorite. But that's probably because like, you know, Ether came out, you know, my dad was of age, like, you know, I was a kid. So like, you know, we had to get older to kind of understand the whole Ether situation and all that. You know, I didn't realize that till I was older. But I will say it like this with King's Disease. Nas may still be dropping like this year, but he still got that classic funk. He still got that classic Nas funk from the 90s. Like he still got that sway, even with like in this 2020, 2021 generation.
I think he definitely still has it. I think nowadays he's still pushing with the best of them. Even everybody.
Definitely shout out to Hit Boy. Cause Hit Boy is like more so of our generation, but he had his foot in the game for so long, you know.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that one. And definitely shout out to him because he's been doing a lot. He's actually been putting up quite a few projects and like very good songs with people. He's actually doing pretty well. I think on that King's Disease project, he actually complimented Nas very well.
King's Disease, the Benny the Butcher album, the Detroit 2. Detroit 2 was probably, out of all like the Hit Boy albums that came out executive produced in the last year, I probably will have to give it to Detroit 2, especially with Friday Night Cypher, because I'm sorry, like, you know, you get the best of Detroit. I mean, honestly, I already knew. I kind of expected that from Big Sean. So it wasn't even the 9-minute Detroit Cypher that surprised me. It was all the collaborators that ciphered on the song as well. It wasn't just a cipher between artists. It was a cipher between producers. And that shit was fucking lit. I think it was Hit Boy, Key Wayne on there. Hell of a beats. I think he was on there. Definitely shout out to all of them. But, you know, getting back into the musical roots later on, what actually, you know, like before you did your first song, like how did you even come about getting into like your first studio session, you know, coming about your first song and all that? Because everybody has a first song story.
I don't know how interesting my first song story is. It's actually, I'm really glad that the first song I ever made is like no longer out there. Making music for about a year and a half, listening back to that song, I realized that I had some issues, like putting that out, put that song out. When you go back and listen to your first song, you're like, why did I make this? But I don't think I ever would have made that first song, if it hadn't been for my brother. He actually makes beats, and he's actually stuck with me this whole time. I remember the night we decided we was gonna make a song. We was hitting Fazoli's. We was chilling in the drive-thru, just about to order some food. And he's like, he had been making beats on his phone, so he threw up one of the beats on his phone, and I'm just over here bobbing my head. And a couple minutes later, you know, I'm freestyling, sitting in the car, and he looks over at me. He's like, "You can rap?" And I'm like, "I mean, shit, I'm trying." But so that night we got back, and I think right then and there he hopped on Fruity Loops and just started going in, and we wrote the song and made that song in about 2 days.
Wow, that shit lit.
I've never recorded a song in a studio, I should say. I've actually always decided that I was gonna make a studio or like set up a mic and do it myself. And I think that was the smartest thing I could have done, because a year later, I got everything I need to pretty much be in the studio any time of day for as long as I need to be, and I don't have to pay anything for it. And I've got a lot of knowledge and skills that I wouldn't have had before, and I think that makes me a more valuable artist.
For sure. And this is actually something that, you know, I usually don't talk about this a lot on the podcast, and oh snap. Nah, it's all good. Operations of the podcast. Had to let them know we in interview mode. But I'm gonna say this on this episode because I usually don't say this like in the podcast. I'm usually a homebound guy myself. I'm 27. How can I break this down? I'm 27. I've been writing since I was 9. I've been recording since I was 13. And I've been engineering since I was probably like 14, 15, because I got tired at a certain point of just like waiting on other people at like, you know, other studios and stuff. And there's no offense to my friends. Like, and I'm gonna keep it a being, like, you know, because like my friends may think about it at a certain point, but I'm not even gonna be mad. I'm not even mad at my friends, and I'm gonna even say why. Like, and I know people thinking like, damn, like you got tracks in there and shit. Like, why ain't you mad? We had like 20 artists in this one fucking, like, I'm 13 years old. These, like, everybody fucking like 17, 18, 16. My cousin 16, yeah, my cousin 16 too, because we like 3-4 years apart. Shout out to my homie Jack Penn. He was like 20. And there was only like one studio out in my homie spot, like one location. Like, you had to know where the shit was. And there was like 20 artists recording there, and it was only like maybe 1 or 2 engineers. So it was like, you know, the way out, you got 20 artists, y'all recording tracks tonight. You feel me? I kind of knew that shit was kind of going to be like that. So by the time I turned 14, actually, and I actually did explain this story on a recent podcast episode. I did kind of explain the story of my dad, you know, buying me the studio equipment and stuff. But like you said, bro, once I did that, I kind of made the choice of always just like, I'll go to a professional studio when it's a networking situation. Like, if I know, like, let's say, for example, I pop up in the city and you, like, me and you in the same city, and there's a professional studio that I know about, and like, we can get in that joint, whatever, like, cool. Like, maybe a situation like that. If it's like a networking situation and we go on work, I look at a professional studio for that purpose matter. But at the end result, I rather, like you said, I rather pull up, have the homie have the little, you know, room with the microphone and all that shit. Kind of like, you know, what I'm doing now and shit. And just like go ham. Cause like, that's just better for me. You're in more control. Like, the creative control around that is way different.
I think I definitely agree. But having the ability to do everything yourself is I don't know, is a way better situation, especially since you know your own thing. You don't have to outsource or wait on anybody. You have access to everything you need as soon as you need it. And that's probably one of the best things you can have, essentially.
That's exactly what I'm teaching one of my clients right now, because he's paying me to mix, but he's still buying VSTs when he's recording. And like, he keep telling me, like, you know, I keep practicing, like messing with knobs and shit. I'm like, bro, that's all you got to keep doing. And then at a certain point, he's not going to have to pay me. Like, yeah, that's going to take a little bit of money out of my resource, but at the end of the day, it's like, you know, I rather just tell him the truth rather than hide it from him. Because, you know, I do more than just engineer. I got multiple talents. So I don't look at it as a bad thing. Like, but we're in a generation where a motherfucker just literally just go on Guitar Center, go on BH Photo, look up on YouTube how to build a studio in your room.
Exactly. There are so many different videos out there that explain exactly what you need to do. And then any other thing that you need to learn about mixing, they got right there on YouTube, Google, everything you need right then and there. I was mixing. I've been mixing for quite a while. I think I got pretty good at mixing, but I hadn't really ventured into mastering my music yet. And so I was outsourcing to that. And I think a day or two of just doing some research and practicing, I think I'm getting a better outcome than what I was. And now I'm doing it for free. And I can tweak it later. I don't have to go back and pay for a tweak or whatever I got to do. I got everything hands-on right in front of me. And I think it's very valuable to have that situation. And I'm having that studio that can up and move somewhere, that you post up in a room, I think is also very valuable. There's quite a few artists that have made amazing projects from that same thing, just because either they have put the time into mixing and mastering, or they have someone right by their side that has put in that time to mix and master. I think the best example I got out of that would either be what 21 Savage did with the first Savage mode, or what Russ does, even though Russ did pretty much everything himself. Savage had those people with him, but I still think those are two really good examples.
But you know what though? Like, and as you said, I'm glad you broke out the difference. I'm gonna tell you why there's a difference and why it's still good either way. And you broke down the 21 Savage, John, because I can actually, if I still remember the videos and the documentaries, I can still break down how it came about. Sunny Digital, if I remember, was recording 21 Savage when they did Free Guwap. if I'm still remembering this, if I'm still remembering it correctly. If Sonny, if you ever see this, if I get anything wrong, just correct me later. But if I remember, they were working on Free Guwap, and Sonny was recording that with 21. And if I remember, Sonny Digital gave 21 Savage the what's that? Pro Tools. I think he gave him Pro Tools. And I think he had a microphone or something. And 21 had like a microphone or something. And he started learning that shit himself. And, you know, like you said, he started having other people around him too. But even though he had those other people around him and, you know, he may have had to invest in those people, he still somewhat he could resource himself like, okay, I can get him for this. I can get him for that. And just have these people around me knowing that I can consistently go to them, but I still have my own shit that they can come to.
Exactly.
And Russ could do that same thing if he didn't know how to do everything by himself. And that's the difference.
I agree. But I don't think there really is any issue with having a team. I think an artist can get a lot out of that if they do have a team, because it takes a lot of stress off. Because I realize when you do everything yourself, you do put a lot of stress on yourself, and that can affect you. But
before I transitioned into production, I started my label when I was an artist. Still have the same label now, like, you know, still same gang, all that shit. But even when I was an artist, like you said, it started taking that stress off. Like, and now as a producer, especially with a label that I have artists, now I got in-house producers, now I got graphic designers and stuff like that. So whenever I can't, you know, if I'm doing the podcast or whatever and I can't supply beats at a certain amount of time, now I got a whole in-house of guys to where it's like, okay, he got stuff. Or, you know, this, that, and the third. So then, you know, I got my graphic designer to where it's like, okay, you know, if I'm not doing the cover, then my guy doing covers. That is the one thing. Having a team, definitely shout out my team, World of Metropolis. I would be nothing without them guys. I'd be nothing without my guys. Shout out AB, shout out Pup, Falcon, Barber, Honey Beats, Rotten Luke, my guy Bibby. I would be nothing without those guys. And they always tell me like I'm doing so much for the team and all that, but it's like I'm doing that shit because of y'all.
exactly.
And they putting in the work too. Like they sit there telling me like I'm doing so much for the team, but it's like at the end of the day, no matter how much credit my team gives me, I'm not the only one that's putting in work. They're putting in their part too. And that's what counts at the end. No matter who it is, like everybody playing their part. And the question I was going to ask, like having all this knowledge, knowing the creative control that you have with your music, is that how Late Nights became such a great project?
I would say so.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like this, everything you said, it had to lead up to that. Because I'm sorry, bro. Like it's not. I'm gonna keep it honest. I have somewhat of a two-split mindset. Underground mindset and an industry mindset because I know people on both sides.
Exactly.
So with both mindsets, it's not so many projects that I can say from front to back that are actually lit. And I can actually say Late Nights is definitely one of them.
I'm always going to appreciate the support, the love. Late Nights was, I really like working on that project. That was important to me. I think everything that I work on is a new step in my creative like direction. And I think every little piece that I put into it is another part of where I'm trying to go and like what is a part of me. And I think Late Nights definitely shows the dedication and the commitment that I have to music and how much I make it as good as possible. And I think I talked to Jalen one time. Shout out Jalen, man. That dude does everything in the world for me. I love that dude, seriously. But having a conversation with him, he brought up how from the first project to the second project, it sounds like the overall production and the sound from the first project to the second project had really elevated, and how it sounded like that second project was done somewhere expensive, somewhere like that you'd get a really high quality mix out of or master out of. It sounds like a really well done project. And to think that, I just made that in my room, fucking writing on hours and recording for hours, re-recording, rewriting, and just tweaking beats. I had to chop and mix. I think it came out really well. And that project really helped me because at that point I was kind of networking with Papi, produced by Papi. Shout out him, man. That dude can make beats.
That is my brother for life, man. I tell you.
And on top of that, he's also just a really good dude. So I had worked with him a lot, and he had worked with me. I'd say he worked with me even more because I wouldn't say I'm an easy person to work with because I don't want to use it as a cop out, but I feel like I'm sort of a perfectionist. I really want music to go a certain way, and I want it to sound a certain way. And he nonstop helped me with every bit of that on this project. Him and my brother helped me put this project together, and I think it came out pretty well. Between the extremely late nights trying to record, mix, and master these songs, and then also the time and dedication it took to write and rewrite the songs as necessary. But
man, that's crazy. Definitely, like I said, shout out to Papi, man, because Papi just been making way for himself, like through the underground, through the indie world. He always showing love, like no matter who he work with. And
yeah,
definitely shout out to him, shout out to Digital Dior, shout out to Sonny Laurent, and as I said, in the intro, of introducing you, Papi was the very first guest ever on this podcast. Like even like people hit my phone up. How the hell you start a podcast with him? I'd be like, look, I did not, first of all, I did not ask for it. I discussed something on Twitter. I said I was going to talk about it in the podcast. I'm not even going to lie, bro. I originally planned, I didn't think that I was going to start having guests every episode. I originally just planned on starting the podcast by myself, just talking shit. And then Papi said he wanted to do it. I said, oh, snap. All right, bet. I guess I will be having a guest. And then that wound up happening. And that's how I wound up listening to Late Nights, because when I was digging through, doing my research and finding all the Papi songs, and he sent me his list, 3 of those songs were right from the album. And I said, who is this, this Logan Write guy? Like, he got 3 songs in this Papi playlist, and they're all from the same album. I need to check this shit out. One thing led to another.
I think the three songs, the 3 beats he gave me that we worked with were like me trying to find like a newer sound that I can still like be me and go with, and something that I vibe with. And I think that last song that I threw on the project, the bonus song that he made,
which is my favorite.
I was holding that song back, actually. I was gonna keep it for something else, and then I was listening to the project, and it fit so well where it was. But I had already laid out the project, so I threw it on there at the end because I felt like that's where it needed to go. And I really appreciate everything he's thrown at me, because I still got a couple beats that he gave me that I got some songs on that I finished that just didn't make the cut. But like I could.
That was about to be my next question. I was about to say, where were the Papi songs that didn't make the cut? Will we be seeing them?
There are one or two unfinished ones that could be seen, but regardless, I got a couple people I'm trying to work with, and Papi definitely wants to be a part of that, and so I'm all for it. I got to link up with him again and see what we can cook up. So
say it like this, might find me in the mix of that. I keep me a stash of Papi loops all the time. Keep me a stash. Always. But man, with all this, and speaking of, like you said, upcoming work, what are we going to expect from, Logan Write for 2021 coming like summertime, fall?
it's going to be my first big project. And I think it's going to be the best music I've made, the best production you'll see, and the most me I've ever revealed, I guess. This is going to be the most me project that I can make, and I've been working on it for about 6 months now.
You better save some slots, because you're talking about the best production. You need yours truly on there. I'm going to make sure to send you something.
Wow, shit. There's still slots.
Can't have the best without the God on there. I'm just saying, you feel me? Can't have the best without the God on there. I got, especially for No Rivals, man. I definitely gotta get a dib on that.
Looks like I'm expecting now.
Man, that shit. That's lit. And actually, speaking of No Rivals, and I'm glad I actually saved this question. How did that even happen with you and, Jay the Mind? Like, how did that link up even happen in the first place?
Okay. I was hanging with some guys that I just got into music with, and I actually lived really close to these people, and we was all tight for a minute. And obviously once I got the studio set up in my room, they came over and we'd make songs. I got a bunch of songs with them. And that's just how it was going out at first. And so he had, the one guy who he was hanging out with had connections. His name was Adam. He got us in with the promoter for the Citadel on the west side, and we ended up getting some spots, like some middle spots opening up for Ugly God. So we go down there, we do that. We did everything. Well, Jalen had actually got some sets there too, so he went on before us with C plus. I believe there was one other person. I want to say Serge was there. I could be wrong about that though. I didn't end up meeting Amari till later, I believe, but I bumped into Jalen down there, and right after our set, he bumped into me, and he was pretty much gassing me up. He was telling me how much he liked the set and how much he liked the songs that I played. And from there, we had just kind of barely talked for a little bit. I was cool with C plus for a minute, and still am. And so essentially what happened is the dudes that I was hanging out with were more focused on them and what they wanted, instead of me being able to be an artist and grow my own way. So we ended up parting ways for a minute, and C plus hit me up and told me that Rivals was a good fit. So I got in with Jalen. We talked about it. We got everything lined up. Now I'm rocking with them, and to be honest, it's probably one of the best choices I could have made. Not only is Jalen an amazing worker, he's also diehard for his people. So
that I can vouch for. That I can vouch for. It only took me 5 episodes until he started to decide to sponsor the podcast. It only took 5 episodes. And now we're on the 3rd season. And he helped me get merch for the podcast.
Man,
I'm not even gonna lie to you, Blow. And and just like I'm just gonna say this like on like because this day of the recording, like the first order got delivered like 2 days ago, and I was just like, this is what it is now. This guy is a motherfucker.
to be honest, he's so creative. It's insane. And he's always working, and he does a lot of handmade pieces too. He's made me some stuff, and man, no matter what that dude tries to do, I think it always comes out the way he wants it to. I think it comes out really well made. The pieces that I have, I think, are amazing.
Those late night pieces, I seen them right before I got on the podcast. I seen them. I might have to give me a little something. I ain't gonna lie. Shit. I ain't gonna bullshit. Like I seen that John right before I was looking at the link tree and all that, right before. I was looking at the website and I clicked on the store and the link led right there, and I'm like, oh yeah, might have to give me a set real quick.
Definitely stuff there. Coming from Jalen, it's all very well made.
I don't know how that guy does it because he does it for so many people. I don't know how he does it.
I don't know either, but I hope he keeps doing it and it goes everywhere. Because I know lately he had some people out in LA he's been with, and he's got some people I think really close to LA too. There was somewhere else like right next to LA, but he's definitely moving around. He's starting to get more and more people attached, and I think No Rivals itself is just growing, and Jalen's just doing an amazing job doing that, especially sponsoring amazing podcast.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that too. Like, all I wanted to do was just create something to give people a voice for. That's all I wanted to do. I never intended to have clothes or have a sponsor. And I never intended for that, but that all came with it. And like, it's just crazy. But I understand because at the end of the day, like when me and Jay have our little conversations, like outside of operations and all that, and we have a little phone calls, I understand at the end of the day, we're down for the same cause. Like, and at the end of the day, like, cause I know people see I do so much stuff. Some people probably try to understand what my end game is. Like, of course I'm doing beats and engineering and all that. And of course I want to live off that. But at the end of the day, it's the culture that matters the most for me. It don't matter how rich I get. It don't matter how much of a platform I have. It's the next generation. It's the culture. It's the people that's giving something. People like you who's given the craft a different name to modern technology and research. Like, it's people like that. And
shit, I appreciate that.
Of course, bro. I appreciate everybody that's coming on here giving their voice, because at the end of the day, that's what counts.
I definitely agree. I think the people that I've seen you interview and talk with, and the people you get to converse with, I think quite a few of those people are definitely headed off in the right direction. And because I've seen those people through you. I've listened to the music and stuff like that, and I think what you're doing is so important for underground artists and everybody that's important. May it be, me, the next artist, yourself, Jalen. I think what everybody's trying to put together is definitely for the culture, for the community.
Yeah, I said it before the intro segment before I called you. It's so many people out there I'm watching every day. And I put this tweet out recently. I get tired of people saying like YouTube is saturated, SoundCloud is saturated, this is saturated, that's saturated. Man, y'all shut up. Honestly, because it's like every day I go on SoundCloud, I'm finding something new. It's 2021 and I'm still finding new lit artists on SoundCloud. I still be looking for underground videos. Like I'm gonna keep it a bean. I don't even like going on YouTube looking at mainstream videos because I know they're gonna be on my Instagram feed.
Everywhere, though.
Exactly. So it's like I really don't need to go on YouTube and give you the statistics that you're already gonna get. You feel me? So
Exactly.
I'll be looking up like new underground artists that be having videos. That's what I look for. Man, like you said, bro. And I appreciate what you said, bro, because I don't be thinking about how important my role is. Like, I just do it. I don't even be thinking about it, bro. I just be sitting there every day like, oh, man, he needs a voice. He needs a voice. He needs a voice. When Jalen called me about you, I said, you damn right I'm doing it. Like, said, you damn right I'm doing it, bro. I've been waiting for that one. And actually speaking of outside ventures, because I almost forgot to ask this. Outside of music ventures, you had mentioned that you're in the snowboarding.
Yeah, actually, I snowboard a lot every weekend so far.
I'm gonna keep it a bean, bro. And I said this. I was talking to operations about it literally like an hour before we got set up. I was talking to operations and all that. I've been playing snowboarding games literally probably since I came out my mother. Like I ain't even gonna lie. I've been playing snowboarding games since I came out my mom. Like literally, like my first games ever were like snowboarding games, Mario, all that shit. So I just want to know like what's it like, man? Like what's the experience like? Like the first time ever like snowboarding, man, because like I know that had to be like a crazy experience.
Man, the first time snowboarding is actually not what you would think it was, because snowboarding, like if you skateboard, you probably get snowboarding down pretty well.
I
like
love skateboarding.
Yeah, my brother skateboarded, so he picked it up pretty quick. But me, I ain't never skateboarded, so it was actually kind of tough to learn. But once you get it down, the feeling of, I guess, rushing down a mountain or you're rushing down a hill, I don't think people realize that you're going 34, 40 miles an hour on a wood board, floating down some snow. And I think you definitely get a rush out of it. And it's definitely probably one of the most like thrill-seeking things that I've done that I actually enjoy to the point that I want to keep doing it. And now that we've gotten better, this is my second season. We're being able to do some more tough and even more tough things as we keep going, and it just keeps getting better. But yeah, man, to be honest, if you ain't ever been snowboarding, you gotta line that up.
I'm gonna say it like this. I think me and the fans who ain't snowboard yet, I think we're all gonna have to put that on our bucket list. And it's crazy, like you said, like the rougher it gets, like now that you're on your second season, are you thinking about like reaching out for like events and like venues and stuff?
To snowboard or to do music?
To snowboard.
Shit, I'll be thinking about both. I'm I don't think that's the route that I really wanted to go for. My buddy that I snowboard with every weekend is definitely looking to get into events. We just weren't quite ready for it this season, but there's a big air event that just happened this past weekend that we got to see, and that was really dope to see. And honestly, some of the tricks are really cool to see. They're doing a lot of things, but you got a lot of people doing a lot of the same things. And I think if we get somebody new in there doing different things that people haven't seen, it'll definitely be easy to get recognized in that. But for me, I think I've always been focused on music, and I think that I snowboard because that's just something I love to do on the side. But I think music is always the way that I've been headed.
For sure. And hopefully if COVID goes out soon, like the showcases and all that gonna really come back. But with snowboarding, like you said, like with tricks and all that, are some of the tricks in skateboarding and like snowboarding like similar? Cause like, you know, like I just noticed, I know formation, like I study formation, like Indy, Melon, Method, you know, Benny Hanna, like I've studied formation in sports. Cause like some of these tricks, like there are some tricks that are in skateboard and that exist in BMX as well that are the same. So like, you know, does that also exist in the snowboarding world? Like, you know, do the tricks like correlate?
It's a little different with snowboarding because obviously the snowboard's attached to your feet, but you can still do the grabs. So you can still ollie on a snowboard. It's just a little different. And there's still a lot of grabs. Like there's a lot of people that'll do indie grabs, do melons, mutes, stuff like that. They'll do a bunch of that.
Mm-hmm. Tail grabs, nose grabs.
100%. But see, what they end up doing is because the board's attached, those tricks end up doing a lot of different things like spinning and flips. So a front flip on a snowboard is actually called a wildcat. I'm sorry. I think that's tame dog is what it's called because it's over the shoulder. An actual front flip on a snowboard, you have to turn sideways for. So it's a little different. And then over the back shoulder is a wildcat. And then all of that. But a lot of the times that you end up seeing stuff like that, they'll throw a bunch of spins on it. Well, some of the big things that people will do, instead of flipping, they'll do a lot of spins. So they'll do what's called a cork, which is kind of like you go up a ramp and then you lean back and spin a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And so you'll see people do some crazy number of spins because the jumps are so big. So you'll see people doing like cork 900s and stuff like that. So that's really crazy to see. And then the better you get at it, you'll see more and more people do grabs with that. So you'll see somebody doing indie as they're doing a cork, and it's crazy. But the main events that people see that really, I guess, define snowboarding would have to be like the half pipe that they do at the X Games and the Olympics.
Yeah.
Those you'll see a lot of flips and a lot of spins on as well. So you'll see a lot of rodeos, you'll see corks, you'll see those a lot.
I mean, like you said, but rodeo, that's kind of, you know, like you said, that's like one of those tricks that, like, you know, I've seen snowboarders do rodeos for years since I was a kid. Like you said, once the new generation finds, like, you know, new ways to come up with new tricks, like even if it's like tricking out the rodeo a little bit, you know, it hasn't really been too many snowboarders that even trick that out a little bit. So, you know, I just see those like small kind of things, like you said as well, like some of the main basic tricks. And that's why, like I said, like formation, like I know like nose grab, tail grab, melon, Benny Hanna, those are a lot of basic formations. So it's like, you know. Now, here's the thing. There's one trick that I do have to ask before I ask the final questions for the podcast. If you hit a ramp high enough, is it possible to take your foot out of the slot and do a 1 foot tail grab and get your foot back in before you land? Is that possible? I know it is on a skateboard, but I don't know if it is on a snowboard.
Okay, so they actually make these step-in bindings, which are really dope. So I don't know what you know about skiing, but on skiing, you put the nose of your boot in, You can click the wheel, and then it has like a little release on the back. Well, snowboarding obviously doesn't have that. We have to strap in, but they make step-in bindings that essentially you just stomp into it. And so if you do it right, you probably could do that, but a lot of people don't even do that. What they do instead is just leave one foot unbinded. They'll go down, they'll hit the jump, they'll actually do it. There's a couple of tricks that you can do, and then they'll just land it without putting their foot back in, which you got to be extremely good to do that, because there's obviously quite a bit less control when your foot's not binded to the board. So, but
yeah, I'm gonna say that was definitely one of my curiosity questions I had like saved. So, you know, I'm definitely glad. Like I can definitely save that for when I snowboard. But what was I gonna say? I always ask these two final questions for the podcast. If there's a future collaborator that you can work with right now, like literally this person could call your phone tomorrow and say, yo, let's get in the studio, let's work together. Who could that person be? And it could be anybody in this world.
Anybody in this world.
That's alive. I'm going to have to rephrase that.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Well, I figured you meant that, because if not, I got 2-3 people I'll put on the list first.
Yeah, I'm going to say, yeah, because I had to rephrase that for myself.
It's so hard to pick people that there's so many artists that if I could get a phone call from even a manager and even having the chance to try and work with an artist, there's so many people I'd want to hit me up, underground and mainstream and everything like. But if I had to throw a big name out there, then I'd say one of the few people that I really want to work with is probably going to be Joey Badass. I think we could make something.
That's definitely a good choice. I'm a big Pro Era fan. Not even just Joey. Steez, Kirk, Diamond, Nick. Yeah. I don't know if Rockamouth is still with them. CJ Fly. You know, definitely shout out to Pro Era. I definitely, you know, came up listening to them. Shout out to my brother. My brother put me on to Joey Badass. I wasn't even listening to Joey Badass by myself. My brother just started, like, my brother got his license and started just riding around and shit. He was playing Joey Badass.
So, you East Coast?
Yep.
You like Flatbush Zombies?
Love them. I'm still playing. I'm still listening to Better Off Dead. That's still probably my top. I'm sorry, like, and I love all their new music today, but it's like Better Off Dead is a classic. Is hard to beat for me.
I'm just excited to hear the next thing. I was I kind of got into Flatbush pretty late, but this one dude that I worked with at the time is like a diehard fan. Went to the Beast Coast showing and whatever, like the full thing. He got merch and everything. They signed it. He's a diehard fan for sure. He was explaining it to me, but they Flatbush dropped this EP, and that shit was heat. And I was like, oh shit. I thought they were dropping an album. He's like, well, they were gonna drop the album, but all the files got deleted. They had the album ready to go, and the whole thing got corrupted, so they had to restart. So they put out the EP to buy time, and that they whipped up. And to think that they made a whole album and still have more to go, I just think that there are some amazing creatives. I'm ready for the next thing.
For sure. I definitely gotta start watching Eric R. Elliott on Twitch more. But I'm gonna say, the one EP I remember from Flatbush Zombies, they did it with I think they did it with the Underachievers. I think it was called like Clockwork Indigo. That was the one EP I remember from them. Because they did a tour. They did a tour and they came to my city. And I'm not gonna lie, the show itself was good, but like the night was like horrible because of like security and shit. Like, you know, but you know, it was what it was. But, you know, other than that, you know, definitely shout out to them. They definitely came to my city and, you know, they definitely, you know, they lit that shit up. So, but the final question that I'm going to ask, and this is always my favorite. Let's say, for example, a podcast fan was in the studio with you right now and they're about to leave out and you can give them one final gem for them to take with their career. What would you tell them? I always know that's a tough one.
That's really tough. I don't know. I feel like that answer would depend on the person a lot, but
It could be anybody, rapper, producer, it could be anybody because our fans go of all kinds.
I don't know. I think the biggest thing that I would say is to whoever's doing it is to make whatever creative work you make simply because you want to and not based on what you want to make and not goals that you have to hit to make a certain amount, because then doing that, you're limiting yourself. So to actually create what you want to create, how you do it, and stick with yourself through the whole thing would be probably the most important thing I could say.
For sure. And that's definitely lit because that could work for anybody. That could work for anybody of any creative, you know, genre. So that's definitely one of the you know, top gems that, you know, we've had going out in the podcast, especially that's going for any kind of fan. So that's definitely lit. But you already know, bro, like, you know, I appreciate you, you know, showing up for the podcast, bro. I appreciate you, you know, dropping the gems, you know, giving, you know, that great experience. Man. Now, honestly, I can't wait for this project, bro. I'm gonna say it like that. I definitely can't wait for this project.
I'm glad to hear it. I can't wait for this project.
Probably gotta probably get a people a Papi produced single though before that drop though.
I think I do need to do a Papi produced single, man. Hey, man, maybe even this one dude. Uh, I don't know. He hosts his podcast. Motherfucking God, you know how it goes. I'm gonna have to line up a couple things.
Shit, we gonna make that happen though. But y'all already know it's your boy 215 God Beats, aka Streets, aka you already know this. Producer's new favorite podcast. We got No Rivals in the building. Logan Write. Appreciate you, bro. You already know. Let me rap with you. And we out of here. You be safe, bro.
Hey, you too. Have a good one. Thank you for having me.
For sure, bro. Peace.